Allah and welcome. The Spirit of Sports brought to you by NotPods. NotPods.com coming soon, and my YouTube channel at NotPods. This is Uncle Richie coming at you live, high noon. We're right on time, right on the money. High noon plus one. Got in right under the high noon mark, as I do every single day, coming at you live. Trying to hit for high noon. Fridays will be around, or Thursdays will be around 2 to 3. Got the full schedule. This is Tuesday, September 12th, as we remember what happened yesterday, 22 years ago. Tragic. 22 and 33 years ago. No, and 30 years ago. Tragic. Hawaiian Islands, Hurricane Iniki. Same day, September 11th. Ironic. The Spirit of Sports. We're talking sports. We're talking life. This is Uncle Richie. Couple notes from the NFL. Sad day last night. Oh, Aaron Rodgers threw 2 passes, played 4 snaps, blew his Achilles, out for the year. Maybe out for his career. Just sad day. Hate to hear. Love his new attitude and how great he's been doing. It was supposed to be such a good year. I really do think that Zach Wilson has matured a lot, and he looks a lot better. I think he'll take control of this offense. I think he'll be accountable. I think he'll turn down. He did have one dumb interception, but he controlled the game pretty good through that tough touchdown pass. But he just seems like a new man to me. And that's all thanks to Aaron. Will he come back and be a coach on the sidelines? Will he just, does he want to go through the rehab and play another year? I know he didn't want it to end like this, and nobody could have seen this coming. If I had to wager on it, I would say he's going to put in the work and try to come back next year. Especially depending on how good they look this year. Maybe it's a spark they need. Maybe if he's on the sideline as a assistant coach style, maybe they'll be okay. So that was sad. J.K. Dobbins, just a long line of injuries, and now he's out too. Both Achilles, I believe. Jack Conklin, Cleveland right tackle, that great offensive line, ACL out. Cam Hayward, multiple weeks, groin. Injuries, come on, people. Aaron Jones pulled up. Injuries are sad. Sad, I tell you, sad. Well, this is my Tuesday show. This is Tuesday. Where is Sean? That was our thing at work. Tuesday. When you get to Crip Tuesday, what are you doing on Tuesday? This is high noon, Tuesday schedule. That's what he said. That's what they said. Where I take my picks, tell you how I did versus the prognosticators, picks, and some fantasy stuff. Fantasy Live crew. They're not very good. We'll get into that. Under the hood. And then fantasy studs and duds and the waiver wire. Under the hood, we look at controversial calls. And we're not going to pontificate on missed calls because that's just part of the game. It happens all the time. What we're going to talk about is when they go under the hood, last 2 minutes, or when the last 2 minutes, or when there is a challenge flag. when the official goes under the hood and comes back in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, and how those calls might correlate to the money on each team in Vegas. Let's start with that because we only had one really. It was kind of a big play, and it's a little bit of head scratcher because it was a third down and I believe 3rd and 13 or so for the Washington Redskins, which had 81% of the money. They were the highest bet team lopsided wise in the casinos in Vegas. 81% of the money was on Washington. They had a 3rd down and 13. I believe they were up a point with 7 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Caught it across the middle, dives. It looks like the ball definitely got to the yard line to gain. Might have been like the 41 or the 46. The official comes, spots it down at the 47, spots it a yard short. Challenge flag from Washington. They look at it. Decent amount of time. They show 2 or 3 angles, and one angle, it's obvious, no knee down. Ball is in the same arm that his elbow hits, and it hits a good half yard to a yard past where they mark it. Upon further review, the call stands. Questionable. So that's really the only one that had any implications. But it is a little bit of a head scratcher. So we'll chalk up 1 for the season. 81% of the money. They forced them to punt with 7 minutes down by a point. Things that make you go, Things that make you go, That was really the only one. I do find it kind of ironic. The guy from Key and Peele, I think it's Key. And he has that commercial. Okay, guys. And it has players and some, I don't know, famous people, some executives, whatever, sitting around the table like they're doing a read for a TV show. Okay, what do we got? What do we got for this year? What do we do for Thanksgiving? And they're talking about plot lines for NFL games. And it's kind of a head scratcher because to me, head scratcher, it's almost like they're admitting that it's contrived. They're admitting that there are plot lines. They're admitting basically kind of that it's fixed. They're sitting around a table talking about plot lines for NFL season. So I'm going to scrutinize that. So we only have 1 under the hood, really. There's a couple, actually, Jacksonville had 1, but it worked out. We'll call it 1-1. Jacksonville had a fumble, but he was down. So the only one that I saw, I haven't watched every play of every game, working on it. But that's the one that was pretty questionable. Washington with 81% of the money on Washington, and they get called short, and it should have been overturned. They should have had a first down and said they're punting because Vegas is probably saying, come on, Zona. Moving on. That's what he said. This is one of my favorite segments we're going to do every Tuesday. First of all, we're going to go with my picks, how I do. So every week I do my picks straight up and then with the spread. This week, and I tell you those picks on Thursday, so it's not like I'm just telling you that I picked them and there's no proof. Thursday is the day that I make my picks with and without spreads. I'm going to start doing the over-under. So this week, straight up, I went 10-6, finished 2 games out. We have a 30-person pick 'em pool over here in the middle of the islands where the palm trees sway. The winner went 12-4. Jackhammer, good job. So I went 10-6 with my official picks. I actually went 11-5 against the spread. So if I was going $100, I always just say, what if I did $100 a game? That's $1,100 minus 5 times 120. So I'd be up $500. Not bad. And I will be keeping track all year long. I also have Emma Lani. I just tell her the teams. She went 6-10. And then I do one of my shows on Thursday is JFK versus Uncle Richie versus Emma Lani. JFK is this 50-cent piece in my Prego jar that I think I told you about, with the expiration date is August 15th, 2024. This Prego jar of home style Alfredo sauce that I'm going to keep with me every day as I do my show, with JFK 50-cent piece inside, because that's what I'm giving myself. August 15th of 2024 is the expiration date on my job, and because this is going to be my career. The Spirit of Sports, Not Pods. Website, YouTube channel. 10,000 people at least paying me 51 cents a month. That's the goal. That's going to happen. So, people, it's a slow process, but every one of you, 67 subscribers now. It's been about 50 days, 40 days. I'm going to start pushing that more. So JFK versus Uncle Richie versus Emma Lani. JFK, flip a coin, goes 8-8. I'm going to do this every week. Uncle Richie goes 10-6. Emma Lani goes 6-10. Now, with the pro prognosticators, we'll get into Nick Wright more as the season goes. He has a bunch of stuff, season-long stuff, that I can't wait to delve into at the end of the year. But he does, he did a show, he did 3 picks, his 3 gimmies of the week. 0 for 3. Pittsburgh, plus 2.5. They needed about 24 points. Pats, plus 4, lose by 5. Bills, minus 2.5, lose by 6. So that's 0-3. Then I follow the Colin Cowherd. The Herd, blazing 5 every week. Cowherd went 0-5. Pittsburgh, plus 2.5. Colts, plus 4.5, lose by 10. Pats, plus 4, lose by 5. LA Chargers, minus 3, lose by 1. New York Giants, plus 3.5, lose by 100. Kind of like when Kyle Schrager beat his kid 100-0 on Madden. Might as well have been that. So I decided, since Nick does 3 and Colin does 5, I'm going to do 4 every week. My 4 gimmies. At least I went 2-2, almost broke even. I had Atlanta minus 3.5. That's a win. Win by 10. I had Cleveland plus 2.5. Win by 20 something. Then I lose on the Chargers minus 3 and New Orleans minus 3. So I'm 2-2. Nick Wright's 0-3 and Colin Cowherd is 0-5 to start the season. I'm going to go next to my fantasy football. My fantasy football studs. I'll be right back. I am back. I don't have anyone to help me out, so I got to go get my own stuff. Trying to find, looking for something here. Okay. This is another, we'll get back to That's What He Said. That's the first part of That's What He Said, how my picks do. Let's talk some fantasy football before we get into the Fantasy Live pros. And I say that with air quotes. The Fantasy Live pros, Cynthia Freeland, Adam Rank, and the crew. Before we get into them, let's talk some week 1 studs and duds. I got from each team, I took 1 stud and 1 dud. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 for 71 and a touchdown, stud for the Thursday night game. Kadarius Toney might have been the biggest dud of all. 3 drops, 1 for a pick 6, 2 would have extended drives. 0 points. Kadarius Toney, unbelievable. I don't know if I played him. Sky Moore got me 0 too. I think I have them both in one league. So obviously going to the waiver wire. Studs, Tyler Algier, 15, 75 and a touchdown. Nick Chubb, 18 rushes, 106 yards. Michael Pittman, 8 catches, 97 yards and a touchdown. Kirk Cousins, much as you hate to say it, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Derek Carr, 305 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Run CMC, 22 carries, 152 yards and a touchdown. Also added, I believe, 3 or 4 receptions. Jordan Love, in his debut, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, no problems, no dumb plays, no questions. Dominate Chicago. Jacoby Myers, 9 catches, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Took him 3 years to have 2 touchdowns with a defensive coordinator calling your plays. Takes him 4 minutes to have his first touchdown. Mac Jones, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Tua Tagovailoa, 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua, with 119 yards receiving each. Maybe get on those guys. This is the fantasy studs, week 1. Pollard, 14 carries, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, 10 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. And Breece Hall, 10 rushes for 127 yards. 12.7 yards a carry, Breece Hall. I was going to say this too earlier. Aaron Rodgers, very first play of the game, Breece Hall, 26 yards. Next 3 plays, you're throwing the ball and he gets hurt. Why don't you run the bleeping ball? I'm going to hammer on this all year long. Especially when it's working, even if it's not working. Run the clock, wear down the defense, save your defense, keep the other team off the field. It is just so frustrating. And I think getting stuffed 3 times is less debilitating to your psyche than incomplete passes and sacks. So Aaron Rodgers should have never even been in that position. They should have ran the ball to 26 yards on your very first run. And then you're throwing the ball. It just makes no sense to me. So that was my fantasy studs for week 1. Fantasy duds. Kadarius Toney, 3 drops, 0 points. Bryce Young, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Joe Burrow, 14 for 31 and 82 yards after getting almost pushing $500 million. Indianapolis running backs, 16 rushes for 25 yards. Is that any way to treat your rookie quarterback? 16 rushes. I think he threw it 40 sometimes. Alexander Madison, another travesty. Vikings run the ball 14 times. 44 throws for Cousins and 14 rushes. What are you doing? Alexander Madison, 11 rushes for 34 yards. Thanks a lot. Here's a terrible. Tannehill, 16 for 34, 198 yards, 0 touchdown, and 3 picks. Unreal. Unreal. I'm going to tell you about our quarterbacks ratings too. Najee Harris, 6 rushes, 31 yards, but definite start. We'll talk about that. Terry McLaurin, 2 for 31. Damian Pierce, another travesty. Only 11 carries. You have one of the most punishing backs in the whole league, a bowling ball, a sledgehammer. You only give him the ball 11 times with a rookie quarterback, and he's throwing it 40. It pisses me off, people. Damian Pierce, 11 for 38. Pisses me off. Khalil Herbert, 9 rushes, 27 yards. And Rashawn Johnson, he looked pretty good, but they're still not running the ball enough. Javonte Williams, 13 carries, 52 yards. Maybe it's not a dud. His knee did hold up, so he got that going for him. This one baffles me. DeAndre Swift, 1 carry, 3 yards. What are you doing? Sirianni said he doesn't ever want to leave a game where he only has 3 touches, so he got 2 passes for 6 yards or something. Mike Williams, 4 catches for 45. Quentin Johnston didn't do anything either. Herbert only had 240 passing yards. Tyler Lockett, 2 catches, 10 yards in a frustrating and almost embarrassing loss at home to the Rams. Josh Allen, 29 for 41, 236 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions, and a fumble. And even the turnovers, what's almost worse is every single time he tucks the ball and runs, there was 2 times that easy to get out of bounds. He just turns in and wants to take a hit because what? You're Mr. Cool Guy. You're going to shorten or end your career, bro. You're not helping your team any. Run the bleep out of bounds. Slide once in a while. I know I'm so competitive. I don't give a crap. It's bull crap. You're hurting your team. You got 52 other guys depend on you. Get out of bounds. Slide. Don't throw the picks. Every time I hurt the team, it's my fault. Yeah, we're sick of hearing it. Be better. Don't be a dumbass. Egos piss me off. Got to prove you're a big man because you're 6'5" and 250, so you're going to take on every linebacker, safety, and defensive lineman. They call it competitive. I call it pig-headed and idiotic. Figure it out, bro. So I went team by team. QBs are weird in week 1, and happens a lot. Joe Burrow's notorious for missing every single snap and practice in preseason and camp and coming out terrible. So I took five groupings: terrible, bad, decent, good, and great. And then I looked at every game and the quarterback and the expectations, how they played versus expectations. Here's what I came up with. There were 7 terrible quarterbacks. Only 2 great. There were 3 bad quarterback games, 9 decent, and 9 good. That math doesn't quite add up. I'm sure there's one more terrible. Let's call it 8. 8 terrible games played by quarterbacks, and only 2 great. 9 good, 9 decent, 3 bad, and 7 terrible. 8 terrible. And I think that's just week 1. And maybe they should play. There's both. Some guys don't play at all. Kenny Pickett had a great preseason. Terrible. They had 2 yards at half. Terrible, terrible. Okay. We're going to move on to That's What He Said. I've been saying this for a long time. I watch Fantasy Live. For one, they do one prediction, talk about one guy a minute on average. It's an hour-long show, and they maybe talk about 40 or 50, 60 guys at the most. When they do a whole build-up, what do you think about this? Starter, sit, or whatever. Why don't you go through 10 or 15 guys? They go through 1 or 2 guys after the whole build-up. And Adam Rank with all this dumbass quips and funny guy stuff. I don't want to waste time on that. Where's the producer? Who do I talk to? Just talk about the stats. Talk about your predictions. And that's what we're going to do right here. So I go Cynthia Freeland, and then I go Adam Rank and the rest. From the Wednesday and Friday shows, I took 24 of Cynthia Freeland's advice and predictions. 8 were good. 16 were terrible. That's 33% she's batting. And I've been saying this for years, and I said, one day One day I'm going to take track. One day I'm going to, keep track of all this stuff. And one day I'm going to go against them. Well, that one day is today. It starts in week 1, and it's going to go for the rest of our careers. Week 1, and it just proves what I've been saying and been thinking in my mind. So she had 8 good takes. Stream the Atlanta D, 3 turnovers, 2 sacks. Stream David Montgomery, 24 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. A bold prediction, and I'm going to give her 2 points for this. So she really only had 7 positive predictions, but I'm giving her 2 for a bold prediction. Jaylen Warren, more points than Najee Harris, which he did. Downgrade on Deontay Johnson. So that's good. Sit Dak, she said. Good. Lamar, under 213 passing yards. He had 169. And sit Devontae Parker. 0 targets, and I think he didn't even play. That's her 8 positive predictions. Here's her negative predictions. That 4 quarterbacks, Hurts, Allen, Lamar, and one more would all have a rushing TD. I don't think any did. Josh Allen would have more points than Jalen Hurts, not close. Saquon Barkley, more points than Pollard, not close. St. Brown, more yards than Olave, not close. Love Justin Fields early in the season to throw more. Kyle Pitts have a breakout year starting in week 1, 2 catches. Stream Gabe Davis, put him in your lineup, 2 catches for 32 yards. Start Najee Harris, terrible. Deep sleeper, Jake Ferguson, Jalen Hyatt. I think 2 catches between them. Start Mike Williams, 4 catches, 40 yards. That could have been borderline. Christian McCaffrey, just okay. 30 points. 2 touchdowns, over 50-yard touchdown, 150 rushing, 3 or 4 catches. Flex Jamal Williams. Start Geno Smith. She had Pollard over 70 yards. He had 70 exactly, so can't hold her too much, but still, She had Justin Jefferson for 90 yards exactly, 150. And finally, start Greg Dulcich. Start 2 catches for 22 yards. That's 16 crap predictions versus 7 if you don't count a bold prediction being counted twice. That's 33%. Adam and the guys, not much better. 7 positive, 13 negative of just the Wednesday and Sunday shows. I'm going to dive deeper into it as the week goes along, as the weeks go. 1 bold prediction that Adam had. I'm going to give him 2 points. Tyler Algier with 1 touchdown. He actually had 2. So that's 2 I'll give him. Beware of Juju, 4 for 33. Good job, guys. Start Mostert, 37 yards, but had a touchdown. Kind of ran the backfield. They were just throwing. Start D-Hop, which is kind of but I'll give it to him. 7 for 65. Not great. Olave to have a great game. And deep sleeper, Gainwell. He was the leading rusher in 4 receptions. We'll give him those 7. 13 bad takes. Jamal Williams, top 8 running back this week. Beware Calvin Ridley. Beware of 8 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. But definitely start Christian Kirk. 1 catch, 9 yards. Deep sleeper Ferguson for Dallas, 2 catches, 11 yards. Start Najee Harris, 31 rushing yards. Deep sleeper Jalen Hyatt, 1 catch. Start Gerald Everett. Start 2 catches, 21 yards. We're out on Aaron Jones. Just had 2 touchdowns and dominated and didn't even need him. Only mid on Dameon Pierce. 36 yards, pretty much a bust. Juwan Johnson, sleeper. 3 catches, 36 yards. Start Tyler Lockett. Start him. 2 catches, 10 yards. Must start I'm giving them -2 on this one. It's a must start. You get 2 for bolds. You get -2 for must start. Tyler Higbee, 3 catches for 49 yards. So there you have it. 34%. So they're 35%. Cynthia Freeland's 33%. In my first week doing this, as a team, they're 34% on their predictions. You know, when do you lose credibility? Who's keeping track of all this? You know who is? I am, Uncle Richie. When does Nick Wright lose credibility for all the messed up stuff he says and spews out his butt and there's no ramifications? Like 20-0 is already shot. And sure, Nick has a lot of good observations, but you can't just spew and put out these ludicrous predictions. And then when it doesn't happen and you look like an idiot, that nobody calls you out that you're an idiot, except for maybe that one day. You know, going by Fantasy Live, I am worse. My fantasy team is worse for listening, not better. So if I'm worse and I'm not better, you be better. Be less worse. Tuesday, big show. Yeah, I don't know about tomorrow. I don't think we got Uncle Raz. He's going to the mainland. I don't know if I'm going to have a talk story. I'll put something together. Maybe we'll do some predictions early. Talk about some NFL matchups. Thursday, we got my picks, Spirit of Sports, JFK versus Uncle Richie versus Emalani. Got to get her picks tonight. Friday, we'll do some fantasy picks, me versus the Fantasy Live crew. Throw in some random NCAA football, Major League Baseball. How about my Beavers? Got to talk a little baseball. Playoffs are coming. The playoffs are coming. The playoffs are coming. Saturday, ramp up the NFL injury report, news, matchups, etc. All of those are high noon, except for Thursday. You know, I might do high noon this Thursday too. I'm not playing men's group. My golf game sucks, people. I need help. I need mental help. It's bad. Just a month ago, I shot a 77, and now I'm shooting 95. It's bad. And then Sunday, 5 more weeks, my talkathon, Spirit of Sports talkathon, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the next 5 weeks, 24 hours, straight NFL. We call it Red Zone Sunday with Uncle Scott Hansen and Uncle Richie. So until tomorrow, I'll figure something out to talk about. Nick Wright, 0 for 3. Colin Cowherd, 0 for 5. Uncle Richie, 2 for 4. Getting off to a decent start. Know how much I love you all. I love myself. I'm working on that. Forgive. You don't have to forget, but you can forgive people. Be a better person. We're all in this together. Make a better life for yourself. Chase your dreams, what I'm doing right now. And I love you all. Until tomorrow, ahui ho.